What do I owe what do I owe the pleasure? What do I owe the pleasure? Last time we been together. He washed your car for you. He washed your car. He washed your car with no shame in our hustle. When you got them getting into that wash, and you know that chip gonna be good like this right there, this coffee. Y'all better stop wearing this slippery soap, man.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I've been holding a lot of shit in lately. Man, I just had like a 3.5 hour cry.
The industry is officially on edge. 50 Cent has ignited a fresh wave of chaos after releasing new recordings that instantly put Rick Ross on the defensive. This isn't a routine exchange of shots or a moment of online theatrics. It's a high-stakes confrontation carrying real consequences, and everyone can feel the shift. The way these audio clips surfaced online only adds to the tension, raising serious questions about timing, intent, and control. Once the contents of the recordings began circulating, the reason for Ross's sudden urgency became clear. This wasn't noise meant to trend for a day. It was a calculated disruption. 50 didn't just respond. He changed the rules of engagement, forcing the narrative into uncomfortable territory. And now, with the clips echoing across the culture, the storm he set in motion is no longer avoidable.
Just like Mount Vernon, New York City, Mount Vernon, and Miami, all that is the same, bruh. Nobody wants to be near him. Nobody wants to touch what he touched, be where he at. You understand? It's crazy, bruh, how his fall from grace, which was never from grace, it's just like the devil just kicked him out of hell. Because he was never in nothing graceful and did anything graceful. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what you say about, okay, he did the music, he had the bad boy legacy and everything like that, man. But, you know, a few albums, a few people, you know, made to be famous, but they not here to tell their story. Black Rob, Biggie, Craig Mack. They not here to tell their story, bro. And now you got everybody telling his story.
Yeah, and I know 50, he did a recent interview with US Weekly saying that the reason why rappers are quiet about, you know, Diddy's situation is because they've been to his parties and they don't know what got caught on tape.
Bro, those people who was caught at Diddy party did not know that he had 250 tape recorders.
Listen closely, this didn't happen by accident. 50 Cent has been playing the long game, and now the strategy is finally visible. When Rick Ross mocked him with the Officer Ricky angle back in 2009, most people saw it as routine rap sparring. But while everyone else chased quick reactions, 50 was already thinking several moves ahead. He went quiet, collected receipts, watched patterns, and let time do the work. As Ross leaned into luxury, business wins, and the image of being untouchable, 50 stayed patient. Those Instagram jabs about inflated success weren't jokes. They were warnings hiding in plain sight. Then came the strike. No rollout, no captions, no theatrics, just the recording. One drop was enough to freeze the room. The internet erupted, the industry paused, and in that moment, Ross realized the battle he thought he'd won was never the real one.
He had 250 tape recorders in that house that they took, that the feds found. So now with them finding all that and you being at a Diddy party, you know you may have done something that was caught on one of those tapes. You just better pray to God that they don't recognize you. Those people who know that they did something, no, they're not going to speak out. They're not going to say nothing. What part of the game is that? They are not going to come forward and tell on themselves. Nah, not at all. Ice Cube, he said it himself, bro. He said that Diddy's been targeted because of what he said about those folks and those people. Now, the people who was on those tapes may feel like Diddy might be targeting them. Because if he's asked about who is this, who is that, and he's under oath with the federal government, he got to tell them. He's not going to plead the fifth.
Yeah, I know that got to be a terrible feeling, man. You know you did something wrong at Diddy party, and you hoping and praying that it's not caught on tape.
But they don't think they did nothing wrong. That's their lifestyle. That's their lifestyle, bro. I ask guys all the time, if two men lay down, how many homos get up? What you mean? I mean what I mean.
The moment 50 released that recording, the industry snapped into emergency mode. Executives disappeared into closed rooms. PR teams went into damage control, overdrive. And anyone even loosely connected to Ross or Diddy suddenly went quiet. This wasn't playful trolling or a rap jab for headlines. It was precision, a calculated strike designed to land heavy and leave no room for spin. Ross was in the middle of handling business when his phone started lighting up nonstop. At first, he brushed it off, just 50 being 50, stirring the pot again. Then he watched the clip. And that's when the tone changed. The confidence faded. Reality hit, because this wasn't noise. It was leverage. Now the whispers are getting louder. People are saying this was only the first wave. That 50 has been sitting on receipts for years, waiting for the exact moment when one move could shift the balance. If that's true, the real tension isn't about what just dropped. It's about what's still being held back. And if this was only the opening move, the question everyone's asking behind closed doors is simple and chilling. How far is he actually willing to go?
100% factual, but it's somebody in this story of things that seems more reliable than others, Race, is what I'll say, just to protect my sources. But this source informed me of who these A-list celebrities are on these tapes that are being allegedly auctioned off online and through the networks. And it's put me in a little bit of a bind because I like to be fully transparent with the audience. I want to say things, but I also realize from what I'm told, because again, I haven't seen them directly yet. I haven't, and I don't know if I want to. Race, I want your advice on that too. But the problem I have is just like, typically I want to report these things, but I got to be careful legally, ethically, morally as to what we report on here. Because as Ariel, the lawyer here, did admit, and I can attest based on the information I got from a separate, reliable source, people in these videos don't know they're being videotaped. That's a big issue, Race, right? Let's start out right there. If there are people on these tapes that don't know that they were being filmed, is that okay to talk about and to share?
I have a big problem with that, as do you, Andy, and you tend to be an ethical guy and you're taking the high ground here. Notwithstanding the fact that you may have some significant information and reliable information, but the reality is that, look, I mean, if people were recorded non-consensually and you are the one to identify them, I think that's a problem, right? And I think anytime anyone has content, right, this is not an email, this is not a text message, this is video. And there's specific statutes without using specific language I don't want to get into, but everybody knows what we're talking about here.
It's Diddy with this person, I'll say that. It's Diddy with this person. Actually, yes.
Yeah, and see, the problem is, again, like non-consensually recorded, you've got a victim here who may not want to be publicly identified, That's the problem. That's the problem. And they have a right to proceed if they want to, whether it's criminally or civilly, without being identified, because we know what's going to happen. As soon as they identify themselves, there's going to be a bunch of people that come out of the woodwork who are going to unequivocally harass them and claim that didn't happen, and they're making stuff up. And there's the victims that we want to protect here, and that's significant.
Well, it's interesting because here's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I know a lot of you are like, Andy, just say it. No, I'm not going to say them, but I wanted to have this conversation as to why we're not saying it and why I think others haven't yet said it, raised, because again, legally, ethically, morally, it's just not right. Now, there's an argument I've had with people who are like, well, they knew what they were doing with Diddy. Like, these were consensual acts. Like, they knew, and he filmed other times. So I don't know what the big deal is. It's going to come out. It's going to come out is what I keep hearing from other reliable sources. It may come out, but it's not going to come out via me. That's just to warn you all, because I don't think it's wise for us to put out something like you just confirmed it without the consent of the other person in the video. Because again, from what I'm gathering based on some of these...
For years, Ross has publicly insisted he kept his distance from certain powerful figures, presenting his rise as clean, independent, and carefully insulated from industry politics. But these newly surfaced recordings tell a very different story. The Material 50 released appears to capture Ross in behind-the-scenes conversations with Diddy that go far beyond casual networking. The tone isn't tentative or exploratory. It's confident, calculated, and familiar. I end the audio. Ross speaks openly about undisclosed arrangements involving emerging artists, suggesting patterns of deal-making that feel intentional rather than accidental. That's what has insiders uneasy. Not just the conversations themselves, but what they imply about how influence may have been exercised quietly away from public narratives. If these recordings continue to circulate, many believe they could force a serious reevaluation of reputations long considered settled. What's really unsettling the music world is how closely these clips echo long-standing rumors about Ross' early career, stories he spent years pushing back against. Now, with actual audio reshaping the context, every past denial, every carefully crafted explanation is being revisited under a harsher lens. This isn't just about one leak. It's about a storyline that's starting to unravel, exposing gaps between what was said publicly and what may have been happening behind closed doors.
Baby oil that they took 1,000 bottles away from his house. If the government took 1,000 bottles of baby oil and somebody had things what appeared to be baby oil, and then you have to listen to the prosecutor. He said that they seized 1,000 bottles what allegedly to be baby oil. Allegedly to be baby oil. So that's telling people that it wasn't baby oil. And people think that was baby oil, they out their mind. I don't believe it was baby oil. Yo, bro, when they went up in there, they knew what they was gonna find. They knew what was ever in that baby oil or that those bottles that appeared to be baby oil, they knew about that at first. You gotta realize 9 times out of 10, that individual that got caught at the airport, that was supposed to be their carrier, told them what they was doing and what they had. I wouldn't put it past that he told them everything. So when they went up in there, they knew they had to take whatever was out there, and that thing that appeared to be baby oil, they took that. They got to test every last one of them. Let's see how much, let's see how many of those come back to be baby oil. Bro, listen to me. Costco don't sell that much baby oil. Where you know sell that much baby oil?
Yeah, I don't know any store that sell that much baby oil. I know Costco, they came out and said that they don't even sell baby oil.
My sentiments exactly.
But you personally, right, what do you believe was in the baby oil?
If you ever seen a massage parlor being raided and they walking out the people, Do they take the massage oil with them when they go? No. They just walk out to people who are being arrested. A person getting arrested and the people being arrested in those brothel houses. Do they take out the stuff in the brothel houses? No, they don't. They take the individuals who are being arrested out the brothel houses. For them to take 1,000 bottles of baby oil, it's like that they did not leave one. They left people there, but they ain't leave not one bottle. Nobody needed no baby oil. So my whole thing about it is that there was something in that other than baby oil. That's why they took all the bottles. And 9 times out of 10, if I would give it a wild guess, it was, and like some of the people told me, it was probably that GHB.
What's that?
I think it's gamma hydrox. I looked it up, bro. Let me see. See if I can find it. I know this is just showing everything like that, but oh no. Let me. Yo, somebody tap dance or sing or do something, you know what I'm saying, while I'm doing this. Oh, here it go right here. It's gamma hydroxy butyric. What is its effect on the body? It's a euphoria, drowsiness, decreased anxiety, and memory impairment. It works on the nervous system and gives you this feeling of euphoria. So they take that and rubbed it on her, and you forget who you are, what you're doing. It can also give you memory loss, drowsiness, and that's under the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration.
The industry is officially holding its breath. Insiders are describing these recordings as a real-time collapse of a carefully built reputation, unfolding in front of everyone's eyes. Behind the scenes, Ross' team reportedly rushed into emergency strategy meetings, gripped by one fear above all others, that 50 Cent isn't finished yet. The possibility that more damaging material exists has turned unease into full-blown panic. The timing couldn't be worse. Ross is chasing major business deals, and with Diddy already surrounded by mounting controversy, any association now carries amplified risk. These leaks aren't just generating headlines. They're threatening brand relationships, investor confidence, and the credibility Ross has spent years trying to lock down. Every move matters, and every response is being dissected. What's making the situation even more volatile is the pattern. Each time Ross attempts to push back or downplay the situation, another clip appears, tightening the vice. The moment he saw what 50 released, the narrative shifted instantly. This wasn't damage control anymore. It became crisis mode. And if this is only the opening chapter, the pressure is far from peaking.
Together is what this is. And again, that's a potentially outing of somebody as well. You know what I mean? There's so many things here that happen in releasing of this private consensual moment that while salaciously everybody wants to know, and people are messaging me all the time, Andy, who's waiting? And it's like, I'm not gonna say, because there seem to be way too many things that these people in the tapes, whether consensual, whether they, whatever, didn't agree to put out there. And I would think that's a legal issue too for anybody who puts these out first. No?
Yeah, you nailed it. You can't without the consent of the victim. That's the problem. Somebody thinks that somebody has no idea, right? You said, well, didn't they know they're being recorded? No. I mean, in these situations, the assumption is they did not know. And that's what we believe right now is the victims did not know that they were being recorded. If the victim comes out and says, okay, yes, I knew I was recorded, and a statement is provided, that's a different story. But of course, you don't know that. So you, Andy, probably can't be the one to break that ice and be like, well, this is what I heard and this is what I know, and so I'm going to say it. And there's all kinds of hairy legal issues on that, right? With privacy and intrusion on seclusion is what we call it. It's a privacy violation. There could be defamation implications. There could be criminal implications. So you're doing the right thing by treading carefully. And I think more people should do this rather than get into speculation. Now, if you see the videos, even still, right? If somebody takes this,
not to interrupt, but that's the question. Like, am I allowed to see these videos? Like, if I were to ask this source, show me the videos, do I put myself in worse legal jeopardy?
That's another distinct legal issue, right? It's like you're watching something that someone didn't know they were being recorded of doing, right? And so it's dicey. It's dicey. Now, it would be different if you were an attorney and somebody's coming to you for purposes of defense or prosecution of a claim, a civil claim, or the filing, of some action to recover damages. That's a little different. But for purposes of, hey, look what I got, juicy gossip, and there are reporting outlets that I won't mention that will do stuff like this. I don't know that it's the smartest thing to do. I don't know that it's the careful thing to do. That's for sure. Or it's the ethical or moral thing to do.
Yeah, it is exactly. I'm not a lawyer, but maybe this source will show you, and then you can verify what we know. But here's the other problem. Even if we verify what we know, like as I watched what Ariel, the lawyer, got these tapes, and even again, I don't want to get into the details, any remote details that could help explain or allude to even more of theories that are out there, or debunk or confirm. But I will say, hearing what I heard, which again isn't confirmation, but hearing what I heard, it makes me dislike what Ariel's doing even more, because I think there are going to be people out there, if this information does get out in some way, that are going to deny that these people are victims, that they're going to try to say, oh no, they're just consensually and they were hiding this affair and yada yada yada. And I don't see it that way personally. I mean, and granted, I haven't seen or know, like, this isn't somebody involved, from what I've gathered in these tapes of them, doing it to others in a way, criminally, like we've heard in some of these suits. This is just, it almost feels like, again, if it's real, like blackmail material that Diddy keeps to sort of hold over these people's heads. And to me, that's awful to the people in it, whether they agreed or knew or whatever. It still just feels like that's no one's freaking business, and maybe they were doing it for reasons we don't know. Just because we saw it in the tape doesn't mean they weren't feeling pressured in other ways, right? So it's a heavy and complicated thing, but it's not a hard decision to say I can't.
When those late night notifications started flooding in, no one inside Ross' camp was ready for the fallout that followed. Within hours, he went live on Instagram with a sharp, rushed response that instantly set off alarms. This wasn't the calm, calculated Rick Ross audiences were used to seeing. His tone felt reactive, strained, almost cornered. Behind the scenes, his PR team reportedly went straight into containment mode, scrambling to slow the momentum before it spiraled further. But the situation only escalated. Ross doubled down with emotional voice messages and scattered posts, attempting to flip the narrative by dragging up old claims and past grievances. Instead of stabilizing the moment, each reaction seemed to deepen the concern. Advisors and business partners allegedly urged restraint, drafting measured responses designed to cool things down. Yet moments later, Ross would post again, undoing their work in real time. What rattled his inner circle most wasn't just the content of his responses, but the lack of control. The line between defense and desperation blurred fast. Calls reportedly went out urging him to log off, warning that every new post was adding fuel to a fire already burning too hot. At that point, it stopped being about winning an argument. It became about protecting everything he'd built before the situation unraveled beyond repair.
100% agree. Like, let's let this play out in the legal realm. If you ever get Ariel on your show, I'd love to talk with her and have this conversation if she's willing to do it publicly, because I still don't understand what her role is in all this. And I've heard at times broker, I've heard at times advocate for victim, and I don't want to judge what she's doing or not doing. I'd love to just have a conversation about it, because I personally don't get it, right? This is a very sensitive thing. Again, if this gets turned over to the feds and the feds bring claims and this is outed, that's a totally different story. But the feds do what they're going to do, like what we talked about months ago on your show, right? When this first went down, we knew when hard drives were seized and things happened that, look, they're going to build a case. They're going to build a case that they think they can prosecute. It's not for us to speculate what's there or what's not, but to say, you know, you have tangible evidence of something on camera that you've seen and that it's being sold in order to protect someone,
to avoid being publicly named, which is what even the lawyers are now admitting. It all feels really dirty and shady, man.
The only person that makes sense that could buy this is the victim, right? If the victim says, I don't want this to come out. Yes, it was consensual, but I don't want it to come out. I didn't know I was being recorded. Give it to that person.
Right, I guess, but you're right, because then they can actually own it. Maybe there is a version of this, and that's what Ariel's trying to allude to. You'll own it, and no other network's going to be able to buy it or show it if you own it and haven't given permission. I guess, is that maybe part of what they're trying to do here, in that the celebrity who buys it can actually then control it just from a clearance standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, look, it still raises some legal concerns, right? Because let me say it this way. If this was a transaction, if this is a business transaction wherein the victim is then acquiring the exclusive rights to this tape or tapes, and that the person who recorded it is avowing that they will not use it, I don't know where that leaves P. Diddy and the feds, right? But they have an independent right to bring this stuff to light if it gets prosecuted. But my point is, if you're transferring legal rights of this consensual or non-consensually recorded tape to the victim, I think that's a better position to be in. But then the question is this person even in a position to be able to buy the tape, right? Are they a high-level celebrity? Like, who are they? We can assume that they're celebrities with millions and millions of dollars to expend on something like this. Just raises a lot of
Panic set in almost immediately. According to industry chatter, Ross Camp moved fast, firing off takedown requests in a last-ditch attempt to contain the damage. But it was already too late. 50 had flooded every major platform with the recordings, ensuring there was no single switch anyone could flip to shut it down. As the clips spread, Ross allegedly offered serious money to track down the source of the leak, desperate to regain control of a narrative that was slipping by the hour. That by sunrise, the pressure had multiplied. Ross' main Instagram account was reportedly restricted, forcing him onto backup pages where his responses grew even more intense. Legal teams jumped in, trying to stabilize the situation, while business partners quietly began creating distance, waiting to see how bad this could get. Instead of slowing down, Ross kept escalating, dragging other artists into the chaos and exposing simmering behind-the-scenes tensions that were never meant to surface publicly. What made the moment especially damaging was how visible the unraveling became. Every reaction felt impulsive. Every post another crack in the armor. The industry split almost instantly. Some rallied behind 50, praising the calculated precision of his move. Others tried to support Ross, but his unpredictable behavior made defending him increasingly difficult. What started as a leak had turned into a full-blown crisis, playing out in real time, with reputations, alliances, and years of momentum suddenly hanging in the balance.
I gave him my card. My business card was savoir-faire, security management, and everywhere. You know what I mean? So 50 did a song about that. You know what I'm saying? And he put that in the song. And some years ago, about a year or so ago, not even a year or so ago, he said that when he dropped my name, he said, yo, I got the savoir-faire, I got that from Big Gene. He been trying to tell y'all about this puff shit years ago. But 50 was the type of dude that if you knew he was with you, he was with you. Even back then, he had your back whether you was security or whatever you did. If he was with you, he was with you. And that's what you gotta love about him. You know what I mean? You ain't gotta question his loyalty, you know what I'm saying, on some fight shit or if you in a situation, because he going out.
Well, I guess you were hanging around him or knew him, right before he got shot.
Well, what happened is that I had got some information. 50 came to my house. I tried to fit him on a vest, but I'm like, at the time I was like a 3X and 50 was like a large, you know what I'm saying? So he couldn't really fit the vest, but I gave him a cover to try to tell him, because he had some pads, some vest pads. So I just told him what the situation was that I knew, and told him he had to watch himself because those cats was gonna come at him, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, yeah. And he was supposed to be going to Cancun. And I told him, if you come to Cancun, I got you, because I used to be down there doing security at Daddy-O's. You understand? And I had people down there that I knew that was from Puerto Rico, and they was working down there, so they should make sure when I hit the island, anything and everything I needed, I could get it right there on the island. You understand? They work directly with the syndicate. So 50 was supposed to come down there to do a show, and he didn't make it because they had shot him up. I don't know if he was coming in the first place, but he was supposed to, because he was paid half the money to come down there to perform How to Rob an Industry Cat.
And when was the next time you seen him after that?
The next time I seen 50 after that was at Jack the Rapper. He had blew up. Man. He was like, he was this dude and everything like that. And I was sitting we was in Puerto Rico, and I was sitting by myself, just chilling, and he had his whole entourage with him. He came directly over to me. He like, yo, Gene. I was like, yo, what up, Fifth? I said, what up, 50? He said, what's up, man? He said, yo, put his hand out to me, and he grabbed my hand. He said, yo, they can't stop what God got planned. Went on about his business. And then he blew up crazy.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
How do you feel about 50 going so hard at Diddy with the documentaries, and what did he do to 50 that made him hate him so much, man? That's crazy.
Well, I think it's just, you got to look at it like this. 50 was writing a lot of shit that made a lot of money for Diddy. And he knew back then in the day, he didn't know what he know now, but Diddy was robbing him. You understand? Mm-hmm. Bringing those kids in and say, yo, here, write this verse for me, man, for this, stuff like that, and giving them $5,000, you understand? Or $10,000, and you making $100,000 or $200,000 or maybe $2 million off of it, or $1 million, whatever the case may be. See, people call that good business. That's not good business. That's taking a person's talent, using it for your own self-indulgence, and not giving him what it's worth. When you could have been teaching these kids, you could have been helping these kids, and maybe these kids would have been helping you at the point you are right now. So, if that's the case, he have every right. But 50 is doing this for the culture. You understand? If it's going to be told, he going to have it, and it's going to be told.
As the chaos unfolded, the industry revealed where it really stood. Meek Mill was suddenly liking 50's posts, a small gesture that spoke volumes in a moment where silence felt calculated. Major names quietly unfollowed Ross, and planned collaborations began vanishing without explanation, as if decisions were being made behind closed doors in real time. DJ Khaled stayed noticeably quiet, offering no reassurance, no balance, just absence. French Montana added fuel with a subtle post about karma and the future, a line many took as a warning shot rather than coincidence. Then Drake slipped in a cryptic bar about loyalty that instantly set timelines on fire, with fans dissecting every word for hidden meaning. Nothing was direct, but nothing felt accidental either. The message was unmistakable. Support for Ross wasn't just wavering, it was evaporating. And the shift wasn't happening slowly. It was happening live, in front of everyone, as the industry recalibrated and chose sides without ever saying a word.